Good evening, I am Jarvis Bunny with your VOA1 Major News Package for today, Wednesday, 6th March 2019. In our lead stories nationally, Agriculture Advisory Council resuscitated here on Nevis and Tourism Education Program to roll out a garden project in September 2019. Regionally, Aviation Authority in Guyana deploys flight trackers following recent crashes. Internationally, R. Kelly breaks silence over accusations and says this is not me. And in sports, Bairstow leads England to 4-wicket win after bowlers restrict West Indies. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now on to the national news in detail.
I would want to talk about something that was once a key committee in the Ministry and Department of Agriculture, which was the Agriculture Advisory Council. It was in existence prior to 2013 when I became the Minister of Agriculture. Through the efforts of the current Permanent Secretary, myself, the Director, and all of the stakeholders who have an interest in the well-being of agriculture here on the island of Nevis, we were able to put this committee or this council back together again.
Minister of Agriculture here on Nevis, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. During a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly last Thursday, February 28th, Minister Jeffers stated that the Agriculture Advisory Council was recently resuscitated. According to the Agriculture Minister, the goal of the Council is to provide a benchmark or pathway for the agriculture sector here on Nevis. Moreover, he said the Council realized that the agriculture sector here on the island faces various challenges.
These challenges cannot be overcome or faced just primarily by the department or ministry, but it would need that relationship with all of our stakeholders. There once existed or still exists a thriving relationship that was established in the early 1990s with the Four Seasons Resort, what we would have dubbed then the Nevis model, which would have garnered significant revenue for the Department of Agriculture. We realized that it is a difficult issue that we have had to deal with and grapple with over the years, and that is the actual marketing of the products that are produced here on the island of Nevis.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Council members include the Agriculture Minister, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, PS in the Agriculture Ministry, Mr. Huey Sargent, Director of Agriculture, Mr. Randy Elliott, Assistant Director Floyd Liburd, Acting Chief Executive Officer Steve Reed, AICA Representative for St. Kitts and Nevis, Augustine Merchant, CARDI Representative Christine Fleming, Director of SEDU, Mrs. Catherine Forbes, McClevin Choss, and Donald Daniel. A garden project which will give students in-depth knowledge and hands-on experience on the linkages between tourism and agriculture, better known as agro-tourism, will be added to the Tourism Education Program here in St. Kitts and Nevis in September 2019. Tourism Research Education Officer Therese Ambrose Versailles said the Ministry of Tourism saw the need to show students these linkages after the recent acquisition of the St. Kitts Eco Park. She said the ministry enlisted the help of the Department of Agriculture, which has played an integral role in implementing the pilot program at the Barstow High School BHS, where a small area has been designated to grow a vegetable garden. 3 vegetables have been selected for the students to grow, including lettuce, string beans, and cucumbers. The Tourism Education Program is designed to sensitize students on the various careers within tourism, highlight the importance of tourism to national development, as well as introduce students to ethical standards as it relates to the tourism sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. Candidates here in St. Kitts and Nevis who write CXC examinations will soon be provided with e-certificates. The Caribbean Examinations Council CXC has announced that after a successful trial period, it will continue to provide students with e-certificates across the region. While CXC will still be offering the traditional paper-based certificate, students who have registered unique and valid email addresses will now have the option to acquire the official certification through BLockCerts or blockchain-based credentials as a free downloadable e-certificate in a digital format. It says this will be immediately available to students on their electronic devices once the certificate is ready and available. The CXC ambitiously kicked off the first regional blockchain-based credential project last October by issuing e-certificates to select a group of 24,000 students from Barbados and Trinidad who sat the 2018 May-June examinations. Now students from across the region will be able to download their certificates conveniently, securely and quickly onto their devices once available. CXC e-certificates will be offered for Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Exam CAPE, Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC, and Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence CCSLC. Balance for Better, a nod to the growing global push for professional and social equality. That is a theme under which International Women's Day 2019 will be celebrated on Friday, March 18, 2019. The theme seeks to encourage gender balance in boardrooms, in the media and in wealth as a way for economies to thrive. According to Gender Affairs Officer Pastor Wayne Maynard, Nevis is joining the Worldwide Observatory event to celebrate women's achievements from the political to the social.
We know that their impact is a large one in many ways. I mean, of course, we can't do without their impact. But in addition to celebrating women, we're also looking to be able to hear and promote their concerns as it relates to issues that affect women uniquely. Of course, domestic violence is one of the major issues that we deal with and we grapple with as a community. And so it really is a time of celebration, a time of reflection, also a time of inspiring us all, both men and women and the entire community, to be able to rally around women, ensure that they're well taken care of, and help with the hopes of having a better society, a better community, and a better world.
Here on Nevis, the Gender Affairs Department has organized a number of events on the day to mark the observance.
There will be a radio address that's done by the Honorable Minister of Health and Gender Affairs, and then there will be a Purple Day, we're calling it, for all those who would care to, in honor of the day itself. And then on the evening, there will be an awards and cocktail ceremony that will be hosted at Government House. It is by invitation only, but it will be honoring women who have made certain entrepreneurial advancements in their various areas of the community. Those are the activities targeted for March 8th.
Gender Affairs Officer Pastor Wayne Maynard. The department will also be hosting a number of activities throughout the month of March in honoring women and in keeping with the theme. The season of Lent began today with the observance of Ash Wednesday in the Catholic Church and many other traditional Christian denominations. Lent lasts for 6.5 weeks, and during that time, the Church remembers the 40 days Jesus spent in the desert, fasting, praying, and preparing for his ministry. The Church now spends this 40 days fasting, praying, and giving alms in preparation for the most important celebration of the Christian liturgical year, Easter. The Lenten season is a time set aside for reflection on Jesus Christ, his suffering and his sacrifice, his life, death, burial, and resurrection. Fasting is a discipline practiced by Christians from the inception of the faith to deepen their level of intimacy with God. Through fasting, Christians believe they worship God by earnestly seeking him more than worldly pleasures. Ash Wednesday got its name from the ash placed on the forehead of believers as the season of Lent begins. The practice is common throughout much of Christianity, but is celebrated mainly by Catholics, Anglicans, Lutherans, and Methodists. Members of the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services SKNFRS will be kept busy in 2019, enhancing their knowledge and sharpening their skills as a robust training schedule is rolled out. The first in the training schedule began on Monday, March 4th, with the launch of a 5-day aircraft rescue and firefighting introduction training course. The 18 participants on the course will explore several topics designed to educate and enhance aerodrome firefighting skills. Fire Station Officer FSO Garfield Hodge coordinates the training and development team that created the course plan. He said this is the first of many training sessions as reflected in this year's SKNFRS action plan.
A number of other courses are planned and scheduled for 2019, which includes urban and land search and rescue, first aid, hazmat awareness training, and leadership training for frontline and middle managers.
Fire Station Officer FSO, Mr. Garfield Hodge. And lastly, in our national news segment, the Department of Marine Resources here on Nevis will engage in a number of activities at the Department of Agriculture's Open Day from March 20th to the 29th, 2019. Fisheries Officer Mr. Randy Morton said that their plans include a conch shell blowing competition and an opportunity to win offerings from a fish tank. He intimated that persons are showing interest in the contest, which is slated for Friday, March 29th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. The contest would not be limited to fishers and will be open to 15 participants. Mr. Morton added that a private citizen had already donated $600 towards prizes. However, if anyone else is inclined to make a contribution to the contest, they are welcome to do so. Meantime, another highlight at the booth will be about a fish tank in an actual fishing boat, which was exhibited during last year's Open Day. And that's the national news segment. You can visit the website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Home. It means something different to everyone. It's a place you love, a place as unique as you are, a place where you can be yourselves, a place for life's big surprises, and not to mention the small ones. Moments to cherish and moments that last a lifetime. It's a place for nurture and a place where you can grow together. It's home. So whether you're building, purchasing, or renovating, the Bank of Nevis is here to open the door, giving you the confidence to dream and the help you need to get there with a mortgage loan from the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back on our one to the regional news. The Guyana Civil Aviation Authority GCAA yesterday announced that it has put into operations a flight tracking system which is expected to be fully operational by mid-year. The GCAA introduced a hotline where persons can call and complain about operations of pilots and by extension the behavior of aviation operators. Up to recently, planes flying in the hinterlands were left largely to themselves and largely unchecked. According to Director General Lieutenant Colonel retired Egbert Field, the country has an ADS Last B system, Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast ADBSB, in place. The system is a surveillance technology in which an aircraft determines its position via satellite navigation and periodically broadcasts it, enabling it to be tracked. According to Field, the decision was taken to move to immediate implementation after 2 accidents occurred on February 18th and on February 21st. In Trinidad, an earthquake with a magnitude of 4.3 rattled the Twin Island Republic on Tuesday night. The Seismic Research Center SRC of the St. Augustine campus of the University of the West Indies said the quake occurred at 8:12 p.m. The SRC gave no further details about the quake, and there were no immediate reports of injuries or damage. News from Bermuda, chocolate and sugar-laden breakfast cereals will be affected by the sugar tax from the start of next month, the government said on Monday. However, drinks with artificial sweeteners instead of sugar will be excluded from the hikes. A spokeswoman for the Ministry of Health said that the addition of the new items was in alignment with the original consultation feedback, which called for application to a wider set of items. The spokeswoman said that the price of cocoa preparations that contained added sugar would also go up. The rate of duty on items covered by the tax is 50%. The rate will increase to 75% on April 1st. According to the Royal Gazette, the spokeswoman said that the tax was introduced to encourage the public to choose healthier options. The spokeswoman said that the government welcomes and encourages businesses to cater to the public's increasing demand for healthier alternatives. This comes following a statement made by the Minister of Finance, Curtis Dickinson, in which he mentioned that a wider selection of items would be taxed from next month. News from St. Lucia. A landmark study on adolescents in the country developed by the government of St. Lucia and UNICEF have identified several concerns for this key demographic, which represents 16% of the country's population. The Adolescent Well-Being and Equity in St. Lucia study, which was released last week, provides an up-to-date and comprehensive snapshot of the social, economic, and educational lives of adolescents, their well-being, and any inequities and injustices they face. According to St. Lucia News Online, St. Lucia is the first country in the Eastern Caribbean to undertake such a detailed assessment of the critical 10 to 19 age group. The research highlights several areas of concern. Poverty remains significant, and although it decreased in the last decade, nearly 1 in 3 adolescents is still poor. That's about 9,500 young people. Out of the Bahamas, traffic division officers are investigating a traffic fatality that has left a man dead and a woman in serious condition. The male victim is 30-year-old Clarence Dean Jr. The incident occurred just after 3 a.m. on Tuesday, March 5th, and according to the Bahamas press, the man was on his bike traveling south on East Street when he failed to stop at a traffic light. His motorbike slammed into an oncoming GMC Silverado truck traveling west on Soldier Road. With metal littering all the streets following the impact, both the male and female on the motorbike received serious injuries and were rushed to the hospital. Dean Jr. succumbed to his injuries later in the morning, and this was the 5th recorded traffic fatality for the week. And in the Cayman Islands, with the new Owen Roberts International Airport terminal set to have its grand opening on March 27th, government is planning the next upgrade at the facility, the lengthening of the runway, which will allow for larger planes and longer flights. The Cayman Islands Airports Authority issued a request for contractors to bid on extending the runway up to 900 feet to just under 8,000 feet in total length. And that brings us to the end of our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Allegations of sexual abuse in the first interview since his arrest last month. He told CBS, "I didn't do this stuff, this is not me," and added that he is fighting for his life. Chicago prosecutors have charged Kelly with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse involving 4 alleged victims, 3 of whom were minors. He pleaded not guilty to all the charges and is currently out on bail. If convicted, he faces 3 to 7 years in prison for each crime. The case follows a 2002 trial in which Kelly faced 21 counts of child pornography stemming from a sex tape with a girl who was alleged to be underage. Kelly admits he has done lots of things wrong when it comes to women, but I apologize in those relationships at the time. He says his own experience of sexual abuse as a child has not influenced his behavior as an adult. The winner of a record $1.5 billion lottery jackpot in South Carolina gave up a spot in the queue before purchasing the ticket, officials say. The individual, who chose to remain anonymous, allowed another customer to cut in the line to purchase a Mega Millions lottery ticket before buying one. The winner is electing to receive a lump sum payout of $877 million. The anonymous individual will take home the largest ever U.S. jackpot paid to a single person. South Carolina is one of the only states that allow winners to conceal their identities. Former Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn has left prison in Japan on bail more than 3 months after being arrested. A Tokyo court made the surprise decision to allow his release on Tuesday, setting bail at 1.1 billion yen. Mr. Ghosn has been charged with financial misconduct and aggravated breach of trust but denies wrongdoing. The 64-year-old left the detention center surrounded by guards wearing a cape and white medical face mask. Strict bail conditions for Mr. Ghosn, including video surveillance and restricted use of his mobile phone, were set for his release. More in this BBC report.
After more than 100 days in detention, Carlos Ghosn managed to slip past the waiting journalists in a little white minicar. Tokyo prosecutors had repeatedly demanded the former Nissan chief be kept in detention until his trial on charges of financial misconduct. His bail of $9 million is thought to be a record for Japan. He also remains under tight control. He is not allowed to leave Japan and will only be permitted to use a computer at his lawyer's office.
And thousands of passengers have been stranded in Kenya's 4 main airports after a strike by workers caused major disruption to flights earlier today. Workers say they are unhappy over a planned merger between the airport authority and the national airline. About 60 flights failed to leave Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. We have more in this BBC report.
We had police come in to intervene when the Aviation Workers Union started off the strike, and we had several passengers injured. Government has termed this strike illegal. According to the Labour Ministry here in Kenya, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport handles about 126 flights every day. 80% of activity here is based from international carriers. It's just about now that we are beginning to see a resumption of flights, albeit very slowly.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Calling all farmers. The place to shop in the month of March is the Tennessee Home and Building Depot. Get a 20% off all agro products. Then on Saturday, March 30, visit the farmers market to purchase your fresh produce direct from the farm to your table from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in both locations. Tennessee Home and Building Depots. Celebrating farmers, supporting communities. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Welcome back, and now for the sports. In cricket, a half-century by Johnny Bairstow led England to a 4-wicket victory against West Indies in the opening game of their 3-match T20 International Series in St. Lucia. After Nicholas Pooran's 50-anchored West Indies innings, Bairstow charged towards a target of 161 from the outset. West Indies got wickets as Bairstow lost batting partners Alex Hales, Joe Root and Owen Morgan. West Indies kept the squad, which drew the ODI series 2-2 with England, but made 2 key tweaks to the side that won in St. Lucia on Saturday, bringing in Pooran and Fabian Allen for John Campbell and Devendra Bishu. Summarised scores were as follows: England won 61 for 6, Bairstow 68, Cottrell 3 for 29, beat West Indies 160 for 8, Pooran 58, Coran 4 for 36 by 4 wickets. Still in cricket, a superb unbeaten 145 for Andrew Balbany helped Ireland to a 4-wicket win over Afghanistan in the third one-day international. Balbany hit 8 sixes, an Ireland record, in his highest ODI score as they chased 257 with an over to spare in Dohodran to level the series at 1-1. He added 143 with George Dockrell, who made 54 after Ireland slipped to 29 for 3 and 73 for 4. Scores were as follows: Afghanistan 256 for 8 in 50 overs, Enzagran 104 not out, Afghan 75. Ireland 260 for 6 in 49 overs, Balbany 145 not out, Dockrell 54, Ireland won by 4 wickets. The 4th ODI is slated for Friday before the series finale on Sunday. In tennis, Andy Murray says he is pain-free after hip surgery, but that his chances of playing singles at Wimbledon this year are less than 50%. Murray had hip resurfacing surgery in January, which he said meant it was possible he would not be able to play professionally again. However, the three-time Grand Slam champion said it was the only option if he wanted to return to competitive action. Murray added he was under no pressure to resume a career which has also seen him win 2 Olympic gold medals among 45 singles titles. In local sports, the St. James's Primary School held its Sports Day on Tuesday, March 5th, which was held under the patronage of former student and athlete Trevon Bryan. The event began with the march past, and then the athletes competed in the 400, 800, 200, 1200, 100 and 4x100 meter races. The final scores were as follows: Greenhouse 256 points, Goldhouse 252 points, and Red House 190 points. And lastly, in our sports segment in athletics, last year Ronald Levy joined the shortlist of Jamaicans who have won the sprint hurdles at the Commonwealth Games. This year, Levy has his sights locked on the World Championships, and he wants to hurdle past the 13-second barrier. Omar McLeod and Hansa Parchment, with times of 12.90 and 12.94 seconds respectively, are the only Jamaican men to have broken the 13-second barrier. Overall, 20 men have done it, with 2012 Olympic champion Aries Merritt holding the world record of 12.80 seconds. Levy is the third fastest 110 meters hurdler in the world, having last year ran at 13.16 seconds. However, his personal best is 13.05 seconds. The 17th edition of the IAAF World Championships is scheduled to be held between September 27th and October 6th, 2019 in Doha, Qatar. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. The weather tonight will continue to be fair to partly cloudy, with a 40% or a moderate chance of light showers. The weather tomorrow will be partly sunny, with a 30% or a low chance of showers. The winds are east-southeast at 13 to 26 kilometers per hour, or 7 to 14 knots. The seas are not exceeding 1.2 meters or 4 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:24 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, March 6th, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Agriculture Advisory Council resuscitated here on Nevis and Tourism Education Program to roll out a garden project in September 2019. Regionally, Aviation Authority in Guyana deploys flight trackers following recent crashes. Internationally, R. Kelly breaks silence over accusations and says this is not me. And in sports, Bairstow leads England to 4-wicket win after bowlers restrict West Indies. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis.